Hello everyone and welcome back to Freedom Through Confidence. My name is Ben and on this channel I am all about providing confidence and life advice for the average Joe. So in this video today I want to share with you my best advice on how to not be boring, because isn't this just a fear that we all have at one point or another in our lives? You go to a job interview or a party or a date and you think to yourself, oh god, I hope I'm not going to be boring, I hope I'll be interesting. And in reality there is a lot going on behind this, perhaps a sense of lack of self-worth, that you don't feel like you are worthy enough, or in this case interesting enough, to do what it is that you're doing. Always when it comes to self-esteem there is this sense of not quite being enough no matter what you do. And so I'm going to share with you the simple truth about how to not be boring. So in order to not be boring, the good news is you don't have to be super energetic and out there and outgoing. You don't have to be some kind of attention-seeking, party-going playboy. None of that is necessary in order for you to be an interesting, or at the very least, a not boring person. Now, I will fully admit, I used to be a very, very boring person. And that is for simply one main reason. I was super terrified of talking about myself, because I just went in with the blanket assumption that what I was interested in, what I thought, what I wanted to say just wasn't worth talking about. Because I automatically assumed that I was boring, I ended up just talking about safe, boring things. So I would meet new people at university, for example, and instead of talking about what I was interested in, or letting that person talk about what they were interested in and then jumping in on that if I was interested or not interested in that, instead I just stuck to the very safe questions. What kind of music are you listening to these days? Are you doing any sports or something outside of classes? Like all these really boring, uninteresting questions, because I was so scared of talking about myself, because I assumed that if I talked about myself, it would be boring and therefore I would be rejected. And because I wasn't doing that, guess what? I was being boring, therefore I was socially rejected. And so firstly, I had to come to a very simple understanding of whether or not people were going to find me boring or interesting. And that simple truth was, I had absolutely no control over what someone was thinking. No matter how much I wanted to, there was nothing that I could personally do that would influence that person to think that I was either interesting or not boring. Like, it was entirely up to them whether they were bored during the conversation or not. And so once I started to realize that I wasn't in control over whether someone else was bored, I started to realize that the best thing that I could possibly do is to talk about things that I am passionate about. Like when I started filming videos on this YouTube channel like 2 years ago, I used to be so scared that I was just going to be boring. And I'll be honest, for the first many videos that I did, I probably was very boring. You know what? There's a good chance that I might even be a little bit boring in the videos that I make now. The difference is, I don't really care as much, because I just now talk about the things that I'm passionate about. I don't script stuff, I just say it kind of off the top of my head. I've got a few bullet points and I just go from there, because if I'm not passionate about it, if I don't know about the topic, why on earth would I talk about it? Why on earth would I script out something that I didn't fully understand? That would be lying to you, it would be lying to myself, and it would probably suck. The best thing that you could possibly do if you don't want to come across as boring, if you want to make yourself seem more interesting, is to just talk about the things that you are super passionate about. Now, obviously you're not going to be able to fit in your passion for collecting dice into, you know, every single conversation, but there is something in every conversation that you can latch on, that you can be interested and passionate about. You can also steer conversations in the way that you want them to go. This isn't to say that you should be selfish and just only talk about the things that you want to talk about. there has to be some kind of balance. You have to also listen and be attentive to what other people think, what other people are talking about, but that is a conversation for another video entirely. Right now, this is all about you. One of the most interesting things that could possibly happen in a conversation is if you are talking to someone about something that they are passionate about. I had a 10, 15, 20-minute conversation with someone a couple months ago who was literally just talking about their collection of gaming dice. Like, that's all she talked about for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. And despite the fact that I'm not a dice collector, I had absolutely no interest in that. I wasn't bored because she just spoke about it with such passion that I didn't really know was possible with dice collecting, but she loved it. She loved talking about it, and so she just kept on talking about it. I was talking to another guy just this weekend past, and yeah, we just sat down and talked about books for about 45 minutes to an hour, because that was something that we were both very, very passionate about. We talked about books that we read in childhood, books that we really wanted to read, what we thought about books. Literally, we just spoke about the subject of books for a very, very long time. Bearing in mind, I had literally met this guy the night before. Like, we just talked about books for ages. It was a really, really interesting conversation. And again, I didn't feel bored, he didn't feel bored, because we were both talking about something that we were passionate and interested in. So what I want you to do is to start getting comfortable with talking about the things that you are passionate about, and it doesn't matter what that is, whether it is anime or baseball or Marie Kondo tidying, whether it is the latest conspiracy documentary on Netflix or bird watching. I do not care what it is. All I care about is whether or not you are passionate about it and whether you talk about it freely. The most interesting thing you could possibly do is tell me something that you are passionate about. People love to hear about other people's lives, about 99.99% of the time. So get familiar, get comfortable with talking about what it is that you want to talk about. It doesn't matter what it is, and then just talk about it. Yes, sometimes people might not want to talk about that and they'll want to change the subject, and that's absolutely fine. There's always something else that you can talk about. What I want you to do is really get in touch with what you like, so that you will always have an endless amount of things that you could talk about. And remind yourself, you're not in control of whether or not someone else is bored or not, so you might as well actually have fun while you're talking to them. What's the worst that could happen? So that's all I've got for this video today. I hope you have found it useful. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. If you are new to this channel and you like this kind of content and you're here for learning more about confidence and life advice for the average Joe, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video. I'm putting out a video every single day now at this point, so if this is what you want, make sure to subscribe and come back for more. But otherwise, this video is over. I really hope you have found it useful, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.